Hello, Nepers! It is I, Wild Neptune, and in this video, we're going to go over the upcoming hero, Senya, and if you should spend your hard-earned bookmarks on her. Before that, please leave a like down below, subscribe, and catch me at Twitch at twitch.tv/WildNeptune. Here we go.
I can hear them.
Watch her little animation.
Vengeful voices.
Very good looking hero, I will say.
My spear will not dull until it pierces the heart of my enemy.
먼 옛날 광룡의 습격으로
There's some
마을이
lore
파괴될
here
위험에 처하자
and everything,
사람들은
you know.
드래곤을 공격.
There's
한순간의
the
고향과
lolly Senya.
드래곤에게 복수를 했던
Well, let's
모두가
skip to her
한 시간 스승과 제자지게 된 셰나.
stats here. Alright. She is a Earth Knight. Her stats overall, you know, kind of average. Speed is kind of low at 100. But she does have very high attack. 1445 as a knight is really high. And she has attack self-imprint. And this is important for her, as we will see because of her skills.
기사입니다. 전반적으로 무난한 능력치를 갖고 있고 기사 중에서는 공격력이 높은 편입니다. 특히 각인 집중으로 자신의 공격력을 더욱 올릴 수 있습니다.
Let's see your skills here. And the first one we see is the skill 2. So, Indomitable Spirit. The caster cannot trigger a critical hit, but attack is increased by 30% and critical hit resistance by 35%. With Molas, it goes up to 50%. So she basically has, at full Molas, a permanent critical hit resist buff on her at all times. When attacked, if the caster suffers a non-critical hit, deals damage to the attacker proportional to the caster's attack before activating Grace of the Battlefield. Grace of the Battlefield can only be activated once every 2 turns. And what Grace of the Battlefield does is grants a random buff to all allies for 1 turn. This is increased attack, increased effectiveness, increased defense, continuous healing, debuff immunity. So she's kind of like Mortellix, which is not the most flattering comparison, because Mortellix passive is pretty bad, but that's mostly because I think more of his activation requirement to proc his passive, which is, I believe, attacking outside his turn, right, is a lot harder to activate than this, because you can kind of put her in against an AoE, and if it doesn't crit, you have a 100% chance, right, if it doesn't crit, to activate this special effect here, right, which grants a buff. Honestly, so the only bad thing here is that one of the buffs is increased effectiveness, which is probably not too useful overall. Like, honestly, if they dropped increased effectiveness, I would actually say this is not bad, right? But, you know, increased attack for DPS that might go, you know, after her. Decreased defense for some survivability if you're a little bit slower. Continuous healing is nice for some teams too. And I don't think it's that bad that it procs every other turn. Similar to Gunther 2, of course, with the critical hit chance reduction or resistance. Not as much, but the added bonuses, I think, makes up for that. So,
치명타가 발생하지 않지만 공격력이 30% 증가하고 치명 저항이 최대
see it
50% 증가합니다.
in action.
피 역시 치명타가 발생하지 않았다면
Coming up here
공격자에게
in
자신의
a-
공격력에 비례한
in
피해를
a moment here.
발생시키고 전장의 가오를 사용합니다.
So
전장의 가오는 아군 전체에게 일탄과
kitty
무작위
goes,
강화 효과를
right?
발생시키는데요. 이때 발생할 수
And now
있는
the
강화
Politis
효과는
counters.
공격력 증가, 효과적 증가,
right.
방어력 증가,
So the Polit.
지속 회복, 약화 면역입니다.
So
전장의 가오는
see
이턴에
the
한
damage
번만
to the
발생.
Politis there. It didn't do a lot of damage, right? And as you see there, the Politis' passive procced a passive, right? But that was okay. You didn't see how much HP the Politis had, right?
이턴에 한 번만 발생.
Because it was a counterattack
약화 면역입니다.
from
할 수 있는 강화 효과는
yeah
공격력 증가,
from the kitty.
효과적 증가,
The damage
방어력
there,
증가,
right?
지속 회복, 약화 면역입니다.
And there's the
전장의 가오는-
counterattack. Okay, but what's more notable too is that because she countered there, everybody else on the team got a buff. So just like imagine if you do this, right? The Politis counters, and then you get, or somebody counters, right? Doesn't crit. And now all of a sudden, maybe your team has like attack buff, right? And you can more efficiently kill the enemy team, right? Or maybe you just have a defense buff and you're a little bit slower and the other team doesn't, can't quite burst through you as easily as they might have thought before. Of course, it is a random buff, so it is RNG, but I think at least one of the buffs on somebody is going to be useful. Again, though, the damage on the counter does seem kind of low.
이턴에 한
Right
번만
there.
발생합니다. 3스킬 용살자의
Alright, her S3. It is a AoE with a 75% chance, 100% chance with Molas to decrease hit chance for 2 turns and adopts a counter-attacking stance for 2 turns. The soul burn is 10 souls, which reduces the cooldown by 2 turns. So it is a 4 turn with the Mola, so 2 turns without, so every other turn basically without it. So decrease hit chance is a strong debuff, as any person who's fought or used Arbiter Vildred should know. And you also get a counterattack stance. So if she's attacked, she'll counter. Now the counterattack, as you'll see in the video, is a buff, right? It is simply the counter
자신에게
buff.
2턴간 반격을
So it can be stripped off.
소울 10개
right?
사용 시 해당 스킬 쿨타임이 2턴 감소합니다.
See
1스킬
right there. And finally, her S1 is a 75% chance to provoke, and when it's not the caster's turn, it goes to 100% with the Mola, right? And this synergizes with her S3 with the counter with the honestly, I'm not sure why they don't give her like 100% counter. I mean, 100% provoke, right? But maybe they think the rest of her kit makes up for it overall with the utility.
최대 75% 확률로 1턴간 도발을 발생시킵니다.
So here we go.
자신의 턴이 아니라면
She
효과
has a
발생
counterattack
확률이
stance
25%
there.
증가합니다.
And now she counters, and there's the provoke. And the
샤나의
artifact.
아티팩트
First of all, this artwork. Never mind the physics like defying of her armor, right? Spear of a New Dawn. So at max level, after using a basic skill, has a 100% chance to inflict additional damage to the target. Additional damage inflicted increases proportional to the caster's attack. So it's like Uberius for knights, basically, or like drink for knights. Now I don't. There are no knights, right, that have a multi-target attack on the S1, so it's only on the S1. This honestly is probably better on Mortalix than it is on her. It's just hard to use like an artifact like this on a knight, I think. And unfortunately, because it's a chance scaling and not a damage scaling with the artifact levels, it is hard to use if it's like not maxed or at least close to maxed out. So this is definitely a whale artifact. That's probably not that good. Unless the numbers on the additional damage is just insane, right? And if it's like drink levels of extra damage, because it is going to be on a knights, right? And single target attacks, probably. It might be. And of course, her attack is going to be very high because of her passive and the fact that you don't have to raise crit chance on her.
개벽의 창입니다. 기본 자신의 공격력에 비례해 추가 피해가 세나는 5월 6일부터 소환 확률을 통해 만나실 수 있습니다. 포적수가 없는
That's the overview. So let's go back to her stats here and give my general thoughts on Senya now. First off, even though she has really high attack, right, and you'll be able to boost her attack pretty high, and you don't have to worry about things like crit chance, right, or crit damage, because she's never going to crit. Her damage probably isn't going to be that good, because even units that scale like massively with attack, like Gunther, they really want those like extra pushes with stuff like Uberius or things like that to break through, right? Now, to be fair, she might be a pretty good like Remnant Violet, or just breaking through things that, maybe critical hits aren't as good against, right? But those are kind of, few and far between. She has some anti-AoE synergies, of course, with her passive, and could be a consideration against some of the true damage. So, like, Let's Ride a Crow, he doesn't crit with his S3. So when he S3s, he automatically procs the passive of Senya, right? Every other turn, of course. So she definitely seems like another anti-AoE hero. Like, we need any more of those right now. Testing will have to be done to see how much damage, though, she will put out. Her base stats are good enough, I think, to have decent bulk and still maintain decent attack, too. I would say that if you are a new player, unless you really like her design, you should probably skip her. Or at the very least, wait a week to see what her testing is like. She's not a PvE hero. She won't do enough damage in PvE, I don't think, for it to matter. And she doesn't have any like protective or defense break, stuff like that, to support the rest of your team in PvE. in PvP, she definitely seems to be a World Arena character, and again, testing will have to be done with her in that mode. If you are, closer to the late mid end game levels, so you're doing Environment 13, you have a lot of hero stuff like that. Depending on your resources, I would still probably wait on this one. The frugal mindset would be to skip her, especially because we know there's a collab coming by the end of June, so there is that on her horizon. I personally, though, I do have a lot of resources, so I will be pulling for her when she comes out. Now, am I going to build her right away? I don't have that luxury, because I do have to get ready for the finals of E7WC, and I can't even use Senya in that anyway. So, but I think she has some potential to fit into a niche. It's just that she might be a little too underpowered to actually do what I feel like Smilegate wants her to do right now. But those are just my thoughts on Senya. Recap. She's probably a skip for most people. If you just care about efficiency and getting the best units. But obviously, if you play FX7 for the right reasons, you're gonna pull on her. Just saying. But really, if you are short on resources, you should save for the collab, right? Anyway, as always, I'm Wild Neptune. Thanks for watching. Nep out.